Well, hi, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. I was about to say I was a huge fan of Lost when it was on, so
Thank you.
I've been
Right on.
excited to talk to you. But first, obviously, we're going to talk about this movie. So, how did you get to work on this film? How did that come about?
They sent me the script and offered the part. Um, it's a small part, but I read the script and I thought the script was really good, and I thought, sure, all right, I'll do my little bit to help tell this story.
I was going to say, what was it about the script that like you really liked a lot that made it connect with you?
It just listen, there's a you get sent a lot of scripts that are small indie features, and this one was particularly good, just as general, just like a story that hooked you, had intrigue, and I thought he did a good job with it. So that was basically it. I also then went and looked up the director, and I found like a little teaser for the movie he did beforehand, and I was impressed at his ability to get like kind of real production value on such a small budget. So I was impressed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's listed as thriller, though. I didn't expect it to be, to have kind of its funny moments, its campy moments, but I enjoyed it. It's good movie.
Yeah.
So when you do something like this, though, that is like not a lot of lines in a smaller part, is it harder to kind of create that character? Do you have to like make up a lot of the kind of the backstory in your head, or does it really, as an actor, not make a difference?
I think I do that a lot in general, filling in the blanks myself, on almost everything. This challenges of this one is the accent is not something that I normally do or am that totally confident in, but it is an accent of my heritage, basically. So I was able to basically reach out to my cousin and be like, "Hey, do me a favor. Will you record yourself saying these words? And don't worry about acting them out or whatever like that. And just kind of just so I can kind of hear what it sounds like." And I got the gist of it through that, and that was kind of it.
When you do something like that, do you stay kind of in the accent, I guess, like in between, or do you just kind of turn it on and off?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not one of those actors that please just call me Hippolito when I'm on set and things. It usually there's like for me, my limited thing with accent, there'll be like certain things, like there'll be like a phrase or something or a part or one of the lines that I feel kind of is my in a
Mhm.
sense, and so I can just kind of turn it on with that. We used to, when I was in acting class, we used to like we were doing a scene and we were supposed to be British, and we would just be my scene partner and I. We were just kind of like right before we'd start, we'd be like British, British, and then go into it. So it was just there's like a little, just having like a little in. It's kind of like almost like doing an impression of somebody, where you have like the thing that's your little nugget that's your in on it.
Yeah. Other than for the accent, was there anything else that you did to sort of prepare before you did the role before you started acting in it?
No, I mean it was pretty straightforward bit. I have a little bit of like kind of moving the plot forward and like kind of connecting certain people in the movie. But there, I didn't need to do much as far as preparation to know how to like wipe a glass and
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
know that's
So it
true.
was kind of easy. I think what the real work I think was done, and they put together a pretty great little set in the basement of this restaurant, that when I walked down there, it felt like I mean, there's a lot that's like behind the cameras that you don't see.
Right.
But it was like it felt period. It felt dingy. It had that created the scene really well, and that really kind of informed my place in it, I think.
Yeah, that was something I was going to ask is how much, I guess, as an actor, how important is that to you? The environment, your costume, that kind of thing. Because this thing had a lot of really good costumes too.
Everything helps. You kind of train and study and you learn to try and do without it. Like as an actor, you should be able to perform your scene opposite an empty chair. However, if you're lucky to have another actor sitting in that chair, it makes a big difference. In the same way, if there's something about your outfit that just feels more right,
Hmm.
it you kind of, it just gives you this more. I know it's sometimes when you talk about acting, it feels really, I know it's hard not to sound, I don't know, woo woo or whatever, but there's just these little things that you go like, in your guts, you kind of like, oh, I kind of get more of this guy, like this, like my guy, I had my it was kind of like open shirt, like t-shirt and stuff, and it just, and also a great thing about the basement was there wasn't a lot of air circulation. You kind of like,
So
you
you're
kind
hot.
of felt the humidity and the kind of the sweatiness of that place. And that was yeah, so any, you just kind of learn that whatever you get to use, it's worth using.
Mhm. Now, I had asked you about though, like making up things. I'm just curious, so like, is there anything like that you did that you can think of that you kind of like made up for this character that we don't know about?
No, I didn't. There wasn't there wasn't much there that I felt, you know, called for to have like a secret
Right,
or
right.
like that.
I get that. That makes sense. So, what do you in particular look for when you get like scripts? And you say you get a lot of indie scripts, but obviously you probably get a lot of stuff. What is it that you are looking for?
Well, at first, I like a good story that keeps my attention. Characters that you care about is huge because there's so many times I'm watching a movie and it's like, why isn't this movie affecting me, or why don't I like this movie? And I realize it's because I don't care about these people going through this thing, and that's a huge it's a huge thing to for a script to achieve. And then after that, it'll be like, okay, that's the story. Now, what's my bit in it? Like, well, what is my part of the piece? And if it's um inspiring, or if there's a challenge in it, something that scares me, um, things like that. And then you also kind of look at like who you're gonna work with, like who else is in it, who who's the director.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of you go through a few, it's like it passes this test, and I'll try and it passes that test, and you kind of, and then but everything is kind of also an individual basis where like there'll be some things where I'll be like, yeah, I'm in. I mean, sure, the script will be, I'm sure I'll read the script when I get it, but I'm already in.
Yeah.
Like when Rob Zombie calls you and says, I'm making the monsters for Universal, I'm like, sure, no problem. Tell me what you want me to do.
And then you're happy to do it.
So it's definitely job to job, and there's certain things also. It's like you'll either there's also leniency because you'll know, sometimes there's certain things as to, I don't have like, it's not like a specific checklist, but there'll be things like, all right, so low budgets are kind of judged on a slightly different standard in a way
That's true.
than like a more studio-y kind of thing. And yeah, and in the long run, it ends with like my gut feeling about it.
Hmm. Well, that makes sense. Now, when I talked to Jackson earlier in the week, he was telling me that he spent a lot of time hanging out with Michael Ironside. Is there anybody on the cast that you sort of hung out with or interacted with? I know you probably weren't there a long time for this, but
I didn't. I would. My period was so short. I landed.
you did you left?
I the airline lost my luggage.
Oh, geez.
I worked one day. I was able, they had bought extra t-shirts for my character. So I was able to, they gave me one so I could
Yeah.
wear a clean shirt the next day. And I picked up my luggage at the airport on my way to check in for my flight back. It was, yeah, and so like I didn't really run into anyone except who I was in the scene with, and there's just very kind of a short amount of time in that, and then beyond that, and also the like Michael Anderson was either already shot out by the time I showed up, or we just didn't work the same day at all. Like there's a like they'd be talking about people who were on, earlier,
Oh,
and but there wasn't much hangout time in this one for me.
that's fine. That's fine. So, do you have like a dream role that you'd really love to do, or maybe even just somebody you'd like to work with, something like that off the top of your
Oh man, that's really right now. I don't know, it's not that specific, but kind of like I kind of want to do, like, just because I'm in a place where I go, oh, now I want to do fun things. Like I want to do like genre movies, like the kind of stuff that I liked watching when I was a kid. Like like something like a like something like an Indiana Jones, something like
Be fun.
or Sword and Sandal movie, or a space movie where we have like real shiny outfits on. That's kind of stuff that I'm excited about now. Just be kind of fun to just kind of check that stuff off the list. Like when I did Ridiculous Six, it was like, wow, we get to do that thing where you walk into a saloon and mosey up to the bar. And I was like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
That's great. That's great. Well, I did want to ask you at least a little bit about Lost before we go. So the one thing I gotta ask is if they ever decide to do any kind of reunion or anything, are you in for that, or have you kind of moved away from it? That you're done?
No, I'd be down for it. What, like they like just like a cast reunion specially kind of thing, you mean? Or
Sure, but who knows? Maybe they do a continuation. I doubt it. That's not going to happen. But
I'd be interested in reading it.
yeah, yeah.
If they wrote something new, I'd definitely be interested in reading it. Lost was it was a very special job, and it's still in many ways the job I compare other jobs to.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, sure.
Do you still see your other cast members very often, or not really?
Haven't seen not very often at all. I just I mean we every now and then we do, message each other or and things like that. If like something pops up, I mean, um like Michael Emerson's wife just got announced for a new job, and I sent her a text saying
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
hi, best to Michael, kind of things like that. So, little things like that. Um, but I haven't hung out with any of them in a while. I hung out with Ian and Daniel more back when I was back in Hawaii when I was doing Hawaii 5-0, just because of proximity,
Right,
basically.
right.
But on the mainland, we're pretty spread out.
All right. I did want to ask you about kind of the craziness and the weirdness of it. Like, what was it like to kind of see your face on merchandise and pops and just kind of everywhere and posters? What does that, I mean, that's got to be really cool, but it's also maybe a little weird too, I would think, after a while.
Well, getting well, the first thing of it was this kind of thing where we all moved to Hawaii, and we were our only circle of friends. And at least, especially for that first summer of shooting the show before we aired,
You
it
didn't
was
know.
just this project that you kind of did in you just did it in like the woods and on the beaches of Hawaii with your friends. And because in many ways we were all stuck on an island with each other, just like on the show. And then we it was like the first like Golden Globes that we were nominated in. And you kind of showed up on the mainland, and you realized there was like red carpets and fans screaming and things that you're like, oh, this little thing that I feel, it's almost like, because like in our minds, at least in mine, it's almost like felt like we were like the tinkers in A Midsummer Night's Dream. They just go into the woods and we make a show. And then you go out and you realize, oh, this might be a bigger deal than we realize. And then when like the first figures were the McFarlane figures, where they came and they had this wand that would like scan our faces and get so they could basically make a sculpt based on
Yeah,
that scan. And that was a big kind of like check the box of like an achievement of success, where you know that you'd get a figure of you was
that's
pretty
pretty cool.
like I was really excited about that. I went to the launch went at the Toys R Us in Times Square for the the release of it, and I bought a bunch myself just so I could
Yeah,
have them
well, I would
and,
too.
and send them to people.
Like I said,
Um, so that stuff was really fun. There's stuff like I think like the Funkos came post show. That was like a later
yeah,
thing, but it's just something to kind of like just to kind of collect and store in a closet so that one day like you can be like,
well, look at
tell
it.
tell your daughter, be like, yeah, your dad used to be on this show on TV. Let's see, these are little statuettes of your dad. And just kind of,
Well, it's gotta be a cool thing.
now
I
you
have
can
them
sell them on
somewhere.
eBay and maybe they'll be worth something.
Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Well, before you go, I did want to really quick just ask you, do you have anything else you want to promote besides this movie that's coming out?
Wow. Yeah, I'm actually currently in for people who are in the Los Angeles area, I'm going to be in a play called Let Me In at a place called Theater 68. And I'm about to start a new series called How to Be a Bookie for HBO Max. So it's just I don't know when that's going to come out because we haven't even started shooting it yet, but it's just something to kind
Oh,
of keep your eye out for.
all right, well, I will definitely do that. Okay, well, thank you for talking to me. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I enjoyed the film, and I'll look out for the other stuff.
Oh, right on. Glad you liked it.
All right, well, have a good afternoon. All right, bye bye.